Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm going to answer the question. Hey, I'm in business for myself. Maybe I'm even a realtor. I can buy a company car, right? Like I can put the car in my business and write the whole thing off. Okay. Yes and no. All right. So let's get into the car. One, I kind of like to keep things simple. I think a lot of people like to keep things simple. There's a trade-off here. Okay. Right. If I can save $1 in tax, but it's ridiculously complex, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. Why? Why not just take the simple route, pay the minimal amount? So there's a trade-off, right? Is the cost worth the benefit? Sometimes I feel like the vehicle, man, the cost isn't worth the benefit, okay? But let's dive into this a little bit. Yes and no. Okay, if you're let's take me for example. I am a CPA. I mostly work from home. I do have a local office too that I drive to. Should I buy a car under my company, which is an S corporation? No, absolutely not. Why? Okay, because the business use of that car, I use it to drive my kids to and from school, baseball practice. I use it to drive to church and back. I go get the groceries in it. I'm using it a lot personally. And when I drive for work, I use it. Okay. But if I were to look at the personal use versus the business use is probably only around 10 to 15% of my car. And the other 90 to 85% is personal use. I should not buy that car in the business. Okay. I should just use the standard mileage rate. One, it's going to come out a lot better over the long term and save me more in taxes. The fact that my vehicle is not an expensive vehicle, it's an older model 2006 car that didn't cost a lot of money, then the mileage rate's definitely going to come out better over multiple years than writing the whole car off would have, because the car didn't cost that much. All right. But the biggest reason here, honestly, is because it's not utilized in my business for a lot of its use. It's mostly personal. You definitely don't want to put that car into the business. All right. So let's say you're a realtor now. All right. Okay. You are definitely driving your car for business a lot. Okay. Let's say that the business use of that car is 80%, but you're still obviously using it personally, right? Unless it's sitting in your driveway, which no one that I know. I mean, there's some contractors, construction guys who obviously do this because they got the trucks that are sitting on the lot and their guys are driving them. But even their own truck that they're driving usually has some personal miles to it. But if you're a realtor and you sit that car in the driveway and you only use it for business, you can write off 100% of that car. But nobody does that. They're looking for, how can I benefit from my car that I drive for everything, be in the business? Okay. Well, that's still possible too. But let's say it's 80%. 80% is you driving around, showing houses, looking at homes, using it for the business. The other 20% is you going to the grocery store, taking your kids to school, et cetera, personal. All right. So what happens? You can't not write off that whole car. You can only write off 80% of it. And you still have to track mileage to know how much is personal and how much is for the business. So you didn't get out of tracking mileage. But depending on the type of car, the cost of the car, what the standard mileage rate is versus the car, how frequently you trade your car in, all those things can go into, is it more beneficial to buy the car in the business or personally? But again, the personal use of that vehicle, if it's owned by the business, and so what you typically do with a vehicle is you own it, or not typically, but yeah, typically. What you typically do with a vehicle is you own it personally, and then you get reimbursed by the business for the business use. All right. So what's going to happen here is the business owns it. So you're going to have to pay taxes on the personal use. So if the value of the car is $10,000 a year, that's the lease value of it, is $10,000 a year, and your personal use is 20%. That's $2,000 of that $10,000. That $2,000 is going to be taxable income to you. You're not going to see that tax. It's a fringe benefit. You got personal use of this asset that was worth $2,000 this year to you, so you're going to pick that up as taxable income. All right. Large corporations do this when they give people company cars, right? But you've got to do that. Most people don't do that. They ignore the personal use, write off the whole thing, and they're opening themselves up to get hit with additional taxes plus the penalties and interest on those taxes if they get caught. Because if you only get that one, anyway, it's easy to get caught doing that. But then there's that point where, okay, depending on what this business is, how long. I mean, I get people who are like, yeah, I just started up. I'm trying out the realtor thing. Should I buy a car? And I go, well, you don't really know yet. Like, unless you're just full in, jumping in, like maybe next year you're not going to do it full time. Maybe this year the business use is going to be 60% of the car. How I always ask people this: the business use this year is 60, 70%. How likely is it that next year it'll still be 60 or 70? Or is it just as likely it could drop to 20% or 40%? And so the reason why I ask that is because if the business use is above 50% and drops below 50% in the subsequent year before the useful life of the vehicle is completed, which with the IRS is 5 years, um, if it drops from above to below, then you have to recapture. So you may have been able to write off some value of that car in the years past, but when it drops below, you have to pick that back up as income now later. And it's just, I mean, again, the complexity of this, is it worth the value? So we need to look at what you're actually benefiting and if it's worth it. But so there you have it. Should you buy a car in your business? We got to look at it. I mean, I know there are people out there like, this is a great benefit. This is a perk. You should do it. You should do it. You should do it. But like everything, I mean, this is just kind of the current trend I'm on right now. It's unique. It's unique to you. You need someone who's going to sit down and evaluate your situation and give you tailored advice, not blog advice, not YouTube video advice, which again, I try in my YouTube videos. I mean, you might watch them and say, this guy's not helping me at all. All he's telling me is that it depends, right? But it does. I'm not going to sit here and give you blanket advice that if you take works for 8 out of 10, but for the 2 out of 10, it doesn't work and you get nailed with penalties and interest because you did something wrong because I just gave it a blanket advice. Yeah, sure. 8 out of 10 people, the majority of the people I'm talking to, it'll work for. No, it doesn't work for everyone. So I'm not going to tell you that it does. You need to get someone who's going to walk you through this and help you evaluate it and figure out what works for your particular situation. My name is Brad. I'm with Wooten CPA. My goal is to bring peace to your finance and tax responsibilities. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified when new videos come out. Thank you for watching.